I have found myself being the most productive, accomplished, badass woman boss more so when I am depressed compared to when I am not depressed. And I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds crazy, but that's because of these very specific productivity hacks that I use that seem to work better when I'm depressed compared to when I'm just fine. And that's simply because these productivity hacks work with your depression compared to working against your depression. And these productivity hacks have been so helpful that they really skyrocketed my productivity to the point that it makes me think, damn, was I was I even depressed to begin with? So that made me think. And over the years, because I started to notice I get more done when I'm depressed compared to when I'm not depressed, made me think and wonder and question, how was I able to get all this done while being depressed? And what have I specifically been doing while I was depressed in order to be productive? Because I have had to show up to work in my darkest, deepest depressive episode, but the world still goes on. And if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you've had to do the same too. Maybe you're a mom who has kids that you have to show up for because, I mean, no matter how depressed you are, your kids still got to eat, right? Or maybe you run a business and you have employees that heavily rely on you that need you to show up every day, whether you are depressed or not. And even though some days at work I show up and I am the most depressed I've ever been in my life, having panic attacks before work, full on crying, sobbing before work, that did not change my productivity, so much so that I was nominated Employee of the Year, which is crazy, by my fellow colleagues, because I was simply able to still show up and do the work. And that would not have been possible without these 10 life changing productivity hacks that work best when you are depressed. Friendly, let go. Okay, I'll kind of admit this first productivity hack is kind of weird, but it works. And it works only if you have this very specific depressive symptom. The last thing that I have control over when I'm depressed is my sleep schedule. I'm either sleeping all through the day and staying up all night, or I just can't sleep at all. But even though I'm sleep deprived and it's a little bit weird, when I am sleep deprived is when I could be the most productive. And I know that that symptom looks different for different people and how it shows up in their depression, but for me, I seem to get the most done when I am up at night because I am depressed. But I can really knock a lot of things out of the way when I am up at night because I don't have any distractions. Most people are asleep. It's nice, dark, and quiet. Therefore, I'm like, hey, let me knock out a couple of thumbnails. So work with your sleep schedule instead of against it. Being productive does not have to look a certain way. You do not have to be waking up at 5 a.m. every morning, working out, going to work, doing this, doing that. You don't have to be moving all around. It does not have to look a certain way. You could be up at 3 a.m. being productive. That is when I find myself the most productive. So I've learned to just accept that my productivity might look a little bit different than everybody else's, and that's completely okay. What matters is that I'm still getting the work done, right? But sometimes, man, the last thing that I want to do is be productive when I'm depressed at 3 a.m. in the morning. And that's why this next hack works so well with the first hack. The two should really just be married? Because you'll get more done than you think by doing the second hack. And that's because if I'm up at 3 a.m. and I feel the need that I have to be productive because I have to do something the next day, then I am completely fine with doing the absolute bare minimum. In fact, that makes me feel better for some reason that I give myself the luxury or the 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 free will to say, like, I don't have the energy to do much right now. Therefore, I'm just going to do the bare minimum and I'm going to be content and happy with that because at least I did something. Because when you're depressed, literally doing anything is a win. Therefore, doing the bare minimum feels amazing. It makes me feel better. For one, if I'm doing the bare minimum instead of having this huge task to do while I'm depressed, that makes it seem doable, right? It makes me feel like, oh, I could actually do this. And I'm allowing myself not to take up too much, not to take on too much. And for two, that's just empowering. It feels empowering to know that there are small things that you could do that even though they're the bare minimum, it's still enough. And sometimes it even feels like a little brain trick. Let's say, for example, that I have a video to film. There are so many steps that goes along with filming a video. But if I'm depressed, I don't feel like doing that. So what I allow myself to do is the bare minimum. I'm just going to focus on a thumbnail today, or maybe even just for the first 30 minutes, or I'm just going to work on a title for the next 20 minutes. Whatever the bare minimum is for you, be okay with doing that. It's still a step towards the bigger goal. Do not underestimate those smaller steps, the bare minimum that you have to do in order to be productive. And so that brings me to the third hack, which goes along with the second hack because it's the actual action steps that is required to do the bare minimum. I will list off all the things that I have to do in order to get a task done. And then from there, I pick the easiest one or the easiest step or the one that I feel like, oh, okay, it won't be so bad or take up so much of my depressive energy to do XYZ. If I have to work out, and this is going to sound crazy, but if I have to work out and I'm depressed, I am putting down on my to do list not to work out. I'm putting down on my to do list, get out workout clothes, put out the shoes that I'm going to be wearing, get your water ready. Like, I am making small, simple steps. Set simple goals for yourself in order to reach those bigger tasks in order to be productive. And I know it seems weird because it's like, oh, well, what if I do all those things and I still don't work out or do like the big tasks? But you will. Eventually, you will. And sometimes I do this trick of, okay, just one more thing, just one more small little task, just one more simple goal. I'm not saying that this hack is 100% bulletproof or anything like that, but I do find that it works and it helps me like 95% of the time because if I've done all these little baby steps to go work out, then it's going to make me feel like, oh, a nice little walk on a treadmill or whatever it is doesn't sound too bad because I've made each step feel equally as important. Going to walk on a treadmill is just as important as getting my workout clothes ready. So setting simple, doable goals will really increase or skyrocket your productivity even if you're depressed. Speak to me. Okay, now for some fun, okay? Because this next hack makes all the other hacks worth it. And you'll really start to optimize your productivity while depressed because hack four just makes it all worth it. Now, this might sound crazy to some people, but this is what I do when I'm depressed and I come home after a hard day of work. I'm the first one out the building. I'm speeding home or to Chick-fil-A or whatever kind of food that I'm getting, throw on some pajamas, get underneath the covers, and watch some Netflix. Now, that might not sound like a big deal to some people or to anyone, but to me, that is my reward. I put in all these hours, this other person's job. I got to reward myself some kind of way. With whether it's food, because I know it's bad, but food is just a comfort for me, or if it's going shopping, or if it whatever it is, however you can reward yourself for actually getting up and going to that person's job and putting in the best effort that you possibly can while you're depressed, you deserve a reward. Whatever that reward may look like, sis, reward yourself. Whether if you got a family and you know that if you go in that house with some food, then they're gonna be tearing it up, and you don't want them tearing it up because you want to tear it up. So if your reward got to be sitting in that car at the Chick-fil-A parking lot eating you some fries, then that is your reward. Do something, have something set up or planned that you look forward to after doing the hard, productive task. I reward myself with my depressive nighttime routine so that I have something to look forward to so that I can maintain some type of productivity. If you want to see a video on my nighttime routine, then please let me know in the comments down below. But you have to motivate yourself somehow to get through whatever productivity that you have to do. And rewarding yourself for that bare minimum is going to allow you to keep doing that bare minimum, which eventually the bare minimum adds up. And then you start feeling good about yourself or whatever. You're like, all those little bare minimum tasks I just did, like they amounted to a really big task. And then that just boosts your productivity and therefore it boosts your confidence and your movement, and bam, you're out of that depressive episode. And this takes me to my next productivity hack because it's counterintuitive to everything that we have been told about productivity. Goes against everything that we have seen because it goes against everything that we have been taught, goes against everything that we have been taught or told about what it takes in order to be productive. Because it is 1000% needed in order for you to be productive, not only when you're depressed, but just in general, like productivity, period. For so long, I thought in order to be productive, in order to be successful, in order to be a CEO, as you see these influential people being, you have to have that hustle mentality. Go, go, go. Work, work, work. No days off. Ooh, your girl rhyming. I watch all these productivity videos and they didn't make me feel productive or give me hope. They honestly made me feel worse, like made me feel terrible about myself. Made me feel like I was failing because I am not doing enough. I am not working hard enough. That I must not want my dreams bad enough if I am not working 24/7 and if I feel and if I get any type of tired, then my dreams they're gone. Like might as well just forget about it because you don't want this bad enough. You must be lazy, girl. And therefore, I will start to feel guilty. And this will create this guilty cycle or loop. Here's what the loop looks like. I work, 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 work because I feel guilty to stop. But then I burn myself out and then I'm guilted into taking a break. Because I'm guilted into taking a break, I now avoid my work because, well, I feel guilty for not doing the work. And because I feel guilty for not doing the work, that prolongs me to not do the work until it's like 6 months later. And then because I've waited for 6 months to do work in order to make up for it, I work, 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 work like crazy. And then the whole cycle starts all over again because I didn't burn myself out and take a break, take too long of a break because I feel guilty. And then it's a whole cycle. But I figured out what the antidote is, so to say, so to speak. Come here. You want to know? You want to know the secret? Built-in brakes. Have some brakes built in, man. Like, like, duh. For some people, like, you're not a machine. You're not a robot. You don't have to work 24/7. But for the longest time, I felt like I did. So when you have built-in brakes, it completely breaks the cycle. It could be something like, okay, after I've filmed this video, I am going to give myself a break from content creation for, I don't know, a day or two. Whatever, just built it in, have pre-planned breaks, okay? Okay, those pre-planned breaks. Because it takes the guilt away. You're like, oh, well, this is planned. This is built in. I'm not off my track. So we good over here. And even if it's not planned, allow yourself to have a break. Even if you're in the middle of something and things are going good and you think that you'll be able to power through and you can't, give yourself the break. Honor your feelings and your thoughts of the break that you feel is needed because that's what's going to propel you to keep going, to keep moving forward. You don't want to work when you're burnt out. That's the last thing you want to do. So just plan those breaks, okay, sis? Just plan them, and even if they're not planned, still honor them. Not only is giving yourself breaks important and helps with productivity, but so is this next hack because it recharges and revitalizes you. And I believe can cut a depressive episode in half. So that once you are out of that depressive episode, you ready to get back to work. Make it work, make it twerk. This might sound out of the blue or shocking, you're right. But I find myself to be quite the loner, especially when I'm depressed. And I find that I tend to do the best work when I'm depressed when I am alone. I don't need any distractions. I don't need you trying to talk to me about XYZ or whatever. I don't need to hear no TV going, no music blaring. I don't need nothing when I'm depressed or when I'm trying to work. My energy is already low, sis. And I've worked at places like coffee shops and stuff before, but it's just not for me. It just got way too many stimuli going on. People coming in and out of the coffee shop or whatever. They got the little music going. Okay, whatever. I guess it's a little vibe. You got people, someone sitting next to you over here, and I don't know. I just feel uncomfortable. It's just too many distractions for me. Too much stimuli, and I'm depressed, and I don't want to be near nobody. And I found that that's okay. Like by following some of these videos online, I always painted this picture in my head that productivity has to look a certain way. Like, oh, I want to be that girlie that goes to the coffee shop and she does her work. She gets her what? Her work. Her work done. But that's just not you, Mercedes, especially when you're depressed. And learning to just work alone and being okay with working alone has skyrocketed my productivity, even if I'm depressed, because I don't have to deal with nobody. And that's okay. You don't have to be a part of some scene or something in order to get the work done. When I'm home alone, I'm getting the work done better and easily, easier, easily. And I think that stems from me just being 100, 1,000% comfortable with myself. But as soon as somebody else is in the picture, it automatically makes me think about myself. Like, think about, like, how am I presenting myself to the world or to this person? How's my productivity looking to this person? Do they agree with my ideas? Are they looking for some type of, not always validation, but just energy that I have to give to other people, other stimuli when I'm not alone? So working alone has 1,000% increased my productivity because I don't have to worry about none of that. I just gotta get the job done. Use this little bit of energy that I do have to get the job done. It's just me and my depressed vibes around here. No distractions, just vibes. Now, if it's something that you absolutely cannot do by yourself, you got to show up to work. You got to show up to the what? You got to show up for those other people, coworkers that are relying on you, right? With this next hack, I ask myself this life-changing question in situations like this that's made my productivity while depressed really impressive. Have you ever dreaded doing something so much you don't want to do it, but you know you gotta do it anyway? That whole situation alone will get you depressed. If you are at a 9 to 5 that you hate, but you feel like you have to do it, you're forced to do it, that is one way to seriously keep you depressed. So asking myself this one question has gotten me through so many of those days with work. What do I need to do to make this job bearable and, dare I say, even enjoyable? Gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta. Because if you gotta do it, you might as well make it bearable or enjoyable, right? So I'm gonna have my lo-fi music going. All the vibes, all the vibes. Okay, I got my diffuser going on. Smells so nice with that lavender or lavendery. Maybe some knickknacks, some fidgets, or something that will help you, ease you down a little bit, you know what I'm saying? All these little things really helps how you feel at the job. And if you feel like your space is making your space feel like home, will, you know, at least for me, while I'm at work, increase my productivity. I feel good to be there. And that's what makes it enjoyable. Having my music, having my lo-fi music or whatever going on, having things set up the way that I like it to be set up gives me some control in the situation. I have to be here, therefore I'm doing it this way or my way here. Oh, and don't don't let me have some breakfast up in there. Don't let me have some food up in there. Oh, I'm enjoying the hell out of that day. Depression what? Depression who? Ooh, I got me some a Chick-fil-A biscuit. Ooh, I'm feeling good. I should not get this excited about food. Well, wait, there's more. If you really want to be productive while you're depressed, and seriously cut that depressive episode in half. If I were to suggest any of these hacks to anyone, this might be my number one. It's definitely my top three. If you gotta be that weirdo at work who eats their lunch in the car, be that weirdo at work. If you gotta be that weirdo at work who eats alone in the break room, Everybody else over there, you over there eating your lunch in your silence. Do it. Be that weirdo. If you gotta put on some headphones to ignore those people at work, do it. Be that weirdo. Be that antisocial person that people talk about at work. Find your alone time. Like, this is just in general in life, but since we're talking about productivity, I'm talking about at work because finding those little bits of moments at work that you can just have for yourself is so important. And you don't have to be rude about it, although people will find it weird. People make everything about them when you just want to be alone, when you want to be by yourself. It's nothing personal. Don't take it personal. I just need a moment for me, me, so that I can go back out on this floor or back out to these customers or these students or whoever you're going to, so that, I don't, like go crazy, I don't mind being a weirdo. Okay. I really, really don't. Like, if I'm not feeling it, then I'm not feeling it. And I'm not going to try to show up for you at this time just for what? For why? Because if I do that, then I'm gonna go back to these customers or these students or whoever, and I'm gonna be pissed off. Okay, girl. Okay, sis, I'm going to be angry. I didn't get no time to myself. Dang, I didn't even get time to eat. I didn't even have time to just not be around nobody. It's okay to be that weird loner sometimes. And even if it's not work, take that bubble bath, watch that movie by yourself, go a day shopping by yourself, whatever it is, find some alone time. It rejuvenates you. And because that you now feel rejuvenated, you now have the effort and energy to go out and be productive. Go out, be productive. And this works so well with depression because, at least for me, when I'm depressed, the main thing I want to do is be by myself. Okay, I want to be by myself. I don't want to talk to nobody. And it might feel weird at first if you're not used to being alone or telling people that or showing people that you want to be alone. But in the long run, it will tremendously, dramatically, any other kind of expression that I could use to tell you how important it is that you find some alone time. It might not seem like a big deal in that moment, but it will increase your productivity and what you're able to do in the long run. But all right, this next hack goes along with this past hack, hack number 8. But this next hack might get you in a little bit of trouble because people aren't used to hearing it. But honestly, it's like one of my favorites. I'm going to say this again for the people in the back. When you are depressed, your time and your energy is precious, okay? My precious. That's how you should feel about your energy and your time when you're depressed. Not for me, that's all the time, but especially when you're depressed. You don't feel like doing nothing, okay? You don't even want to get out of the bed. You don't want to take a shower. Some people just don't even want to be here at all. So that energy is important and precious. And you don't have time to be spreading yourself thin for all these other people out here, okay? You don't have to do everything that people ask you to do. And that's why it's so important to say no. No. No, I will not do that presentation, manager. No, I will not go out to that club tonight, friend. No, I will not cook you that meal, kids. No, children, I will not cook you no food. Starve. I'm just kidding. But saying no to other people and other things when you are depressed is so important. You gotta conserve that energy. You gotta focus that energy on something that really matters to you. Limits any outside distractions because you're not trying to stretch yourself thin with all these other things that you got to do, and it allows you to laser focus in on the things that you want to be productive for. So tell those people what? So tell those people no, okay? Tell them hoes no. You ain't got time for that, okay? I'm depressed around here. I ain't got time to do no extra work for your ass. Leave me alone with your bitch ass. Get out of my face with your bitch ass. I ain't got time to do none of that bullshit with your bitch ass. Okay, don't say all that. Don't get fired, but just say no to things. It's okay to say no. And I know that when we are depressed, we don't feel like interacting a lot. And that's why this last hack is going to really leave a sour taste in some people's mouths. But that's okay because I love lemons. But honestly, this hack has saved my life. And I don't even want to call it a hack because that seems to be minimizing it. It's helped me not only with productivity, but just with life in general and dealing and working through my depression. When I am balls deep in a depressive episode, crying and just a hot mess, this is a time when I realize that I can't do this alone. I have gone to coworkers sobbing because I feel overwhelmed, not just with the work that I have to do, but just with life. And I just feel guilty for not doing enough. And I'm coming to them and I'm like, I feel so bad. I can't. And of course, I've I'm going to trusted people only, right? That coworker, I felt trusted in their space. They'd reassure me and they let me know that I am doing the best that I can do, and that is enough. And hearing it from somebody else makes me realize that yes, that is absolutely true. I am doing enough, and the amount that I'm doing is good enough. And that's why it's important to talk to someone, have a group of people that you could go to, have mentors, have coaches, have friends, have families, have your supportive group that you could go to when you feel like I'm not doing enough, I'm not being productive enough, because they will remind you of all the things that you have already done. This is just one singular moment that you are feeling low, that you feel like your productivity is not enough. And when you just get it all out, you express those feelings, that is when you really start to see your productivity pick up because you realize, like, hey, I have the support. And they're absolutely right. I can do this. And I am worth doing the work in order to get to what I want out of life. So talk to someone, have that supportive network or whatever to get you through those moments where you feel like you can absolutely do nothing. That will keep you productive for longer. Again, it might not seem like it at this moment, but it will tremendously help you with your productivity and life in general in the long run. And I get it, talking to people can be hard, especially when you're depressed and you're being all vulnerable and opening up to people. So you really have to know who to open up to and how to still set boundaries with the people that you do trust and even with the people that you are not coming to with your depression. Because setting boundaries with people will not only give you more energy, it also gives you more time because you're not wasting your time and energy doing things for other people because you set boundaries with those people around you, whether it's your job, work, loved ones, co-workers, friends, family. You have set those boundaries with people so that they understand where you're coming from, so that they don't push you too much, and so that you know what to do in a situation like that. And that's why setting boundaries is so important. If you don't know how to set boundaries with people, especially when you're depressed, click that link up there.